Welcome, I'm Joshua with Lisle, and today I'm going to be building this. Here's my first tip of the day. If you're trying to cut steel using the angle grinder and you've just scored a line and you're trying to look and see that line, one thing I've done is if you get a torch, you can see it reflects that score line quite well, and I've orientated it in this position because also when I start cutting I find it easier to look down and see the reflection of the grind sparks reflecting off the score line, which makes it far more easier. Right, let's get welding. So today I'm going to be using the Artec welder, the CMIG G315. The box section I'm welding is 6mm thick, so I've put it on high, number 4, and just above 5 on the wire speed setting, and I'm using a 1mm wire. So I've had the treads, the tread plates if you like, laser cut, so these are very accurate, within 0.2 of a millimetre. And what I'll do is I'll clamp everything to the tread plate, and that should keep everything square whilst I'm welding it, making every tread very quick to manufacture. A single tread done. So all I'll do now is I'll flush off these outside welds, just so it can be clad in solid oak. Now when it comes to welding and what kind of a welder to buy, especially if you're just starting out, I would always recommend a stick welder. Now MIG welders are absolutely fantastic for industrial applications and doing production work and things like this, but you need 3-phase electricity to get any kind of decent current coming out that machine. If you're going to buy the cheap air end, you're not going to get anywhere with it, but you can buy a very cheap stick welder and achieve something pretty much the same. And also the process of learning how to weld, a good looking stick weld normally equates to a good weld, whilst you can always get a good looking MIG weld and it not being penetrating at all. And therefore, you know, you're just going to have an inferior weld if you're not getting the power. So that's my tip. Now I'm fluent, if you like, in all kinds of welding, fire welding, TIG welding, gas welding, MIG welding, stick welding, and I've been able to master them all to a certain degree. But if you're starting out, from my experience, I would recommend a stick welder. So here are 2 already completed. Now there's a saying that I say to my daughter, so hopefully she'll grow a bit wiser when she's older, but basically it goes along with, a wise man learns from other people's mistakes, but a fool can't even learn from his own. So that you learn from my mistakes, don't make them the wrong way around. Double check your drawings, because now it's going to be very painful for me to now take these apart and flip them around. just getting that off took approximately 12 minutes. What I'll have to do is take this part off completely, turn it round, dress all of these welds back, re-weld it together. So to remove all these old welds, what I'm going to do is use a normal 6mm grinding disc, and then after that I'll use an 80 grit flat disc. And the reason being is this obviously produces a really good finish, but this removes material a lot faster. So I'm going to use this to do most of the grinding, and then just quickly zip around with this and it'll all look fairly neat again. Now if this wasn't such a rush job, or a job that was urgently needed should I say, I'd be inclined to just scrap that, start again. I've got other material out there. What I haven't got though is more laser cuts, and that would be the thing that I'd have to wait on. But while I'm waiting on that, I'd rather go and do something else, and it would be more cost effective to do so. Especially if I'd welded all of this completely rather than stitched it like I did, I would definitely go start again. Not even worth my time to take it apart, because it has taken a long time. But I can't wait for laser cuts to come, so I'm just going to have to work through the night now and get it finished. Okay, so after removing the frame from the tread plate, it's appeared to be distorted, so the heat of the weld has contracted the material and has been pulling it under tension this way, which means when I'm putting it back on the plate, it's not lining up correctly. See, we've got an overhang of about 6 or so mil, but there's a way of correcting that, a way of pulling this over. And what I would do is I would put a little plate here like so, and get a heavy duty clamp like a Carver, something that has a lot more grunt to it than those little cheap ones that I use. And simply by putting this plate there and tightening this up, you can see it starts to pull everything in line. So now that is completely flush and flat. And what I would do is do the same on the other side with another Carver to make sure there's equal tension. And then what I'll do is I'll tack that and it'll be set. So one of the things that's taught me how to weld better, if you like, is listening to the way the weld sounds whilst you're welding. Now if you're starting out and you've got a cheap machine or an expensive big machine, whatever, and you're not too sure on getting those settings right after practicing, you know, looking at the weld is one indication, but listening is another. And what I've been taught is if it sounds like crackling bacon that you're frying in a frying pan, or a bee in a jar, that's the kind of a sound that you want to go for. So the microphone isn't great on this camera, but if you just want to listen carefully to this weld, I'm pretty confident that the settings will be just right. So I spilt a little bit over the side, but if you look at that, to me that's a good profiled weld. So this is the last of what I'm going to get done today. So far I've made 7 pieces, there's 6 here and there's 1 that I've given to the woodworker. I hope you've enjoyed that. Anyway, if there's anything you want to know more, or you disagree with stuff that I've said, please do comment, and I'd love to have more conversation about that subject. And if there's anything you want me to touch more on, you know, something that I've missed, or you've got a question you want answering, leave a comment and I'll probably answer it in the next video. Until next time, happy forging a life worth living. I'm building that workshop, still building it, alright? It's gonna happen.